shadow on the wall that looks like a man. Lord, that lamp just moved on that stand. I got movement in the cellars, I got footsteps in the hall. There's no time to waste, I better make some calls. I gotta get ready, make everything right, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. Hey, round up the team, let's get started. Hey, this is Brother Mike. There's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. This old house has a long history. It should be real good for activity. And we got the house wired for sound and got motion alarms setting all around. Got a box full of batteries ready to go, and everyone's itching to start this show. Got our logo tees, driving black SUVs, and that one bald guy with a slick goatee. Hey, round up the team. Let's get started. Hey, this is Brother Mike. Well, there's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. Hey, round up the team. Let's get started. Hey, this is your big brother Mike calling. There's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rider friends are goes hunting tonight. That's right. Go get 'em, boys.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to Pema TV.
It is Friday,
December 14th, 2012.
2012.
You have 11 more days.
Till Christmas. Because the 21st thing, you can kind of skip it. Good excuse to party, though.
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to start the show off first by sending prayer, healing, everything and anything to the families up in Connecticut after today's tragedy.
For sure.
And also to the families in China. Today in Beijing, China, some guy went a little loopy, attacked an 81-year-old woman with a knife, and then went and stood outside a grade school and started slicing children. 21 children were cut up, sent to the hospital, fractures, stitches, the whole 9 yards, plus the 20 children plus the other 7.
Yes.
6 at the school plus the one family member up in Connecticut. People, if you have someone in your family with mental issues, keep track of them. This is insane. I mean, both of these people, their families said they have mental issues. Well, if you knew this, how are they getting weapons? And it's not the gun. It's not the gun's fault. It's the person using it. I'm just saying.
Only thing I'd like to add is this. One thing I noticed today, especially watching on the Facebook, a lot of people, even though it was on the news too, a lot of people were only mentioning what was happening in Connecticut. That's why we're making an extra effort to mention what happened overseas. Because a point that seems to be getting lost in all this is this doesn't have to do with being Chinese or being an American or being Ukrainian or anything else. It's
this
about
has
being
the
a human.
point of 42 children
That's
were
right.
injured or killed today
For no good reason.
in just 2 areas.
And for no good reason other than somebody didn't feel like taking responsibility for something else. I personally don't believe in they were mentally ill part. They do have some responsibility for their actions. And I'm pretty sure they will be held accountable in front of whatever divine spirit there is. I'm going to stop there so I don't lose anybody. Because I get a little high horses.
And
But-
I'm slightly opinionated, and Eric's already heard it all, so
Yeah.
for the most part, you're safe. But please, please, please send prayers to these families. Right now, we've got 20 sets of parents still sitting in a school waiting to see their child
Child.
for the first time since they sent them to school this morning.
That's right.
To me,
So-
that's heartbreaking.
Please, prayers and warm wishes to them, and we will do everything here we can to help them out. On a positive note, hi to all of our new viewers. Aren't we just a ray of freaking sunshine? And I want you guys to look down below our chat room and practice your stalking skills in the social media on us. Follow us everywhere. Come and join us everywhere.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I am Pema Encounters, so
And I am the Yeti.
you can stalk me there. You can stalk me on Pema TV. You can stalk me on
Parrot
Kim
Encounters.
Dennis Reisinger. You can stalk him on Parrot Encounters Network or Eric Reisinger. Just stalk us. We like it.
We love our stalkers.
Except for Chris, but he's another story.
Hey, go Team Roadkill. Inside joke.
Team Greyhound.
Yeah, whatever.
All the way.
A bus
But
is a
anyway,
bus.
we have a lovely guest tonight.
Yes, we do.
We have an absolutely beautiful guest tonight.
She is a broadcast professional,
She is a paranormal investigator.
and
She is a terologist.
and she loves trees.
Okay. Anyway, our guest this evening is Miss Star Anderson. Star, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Hi, everybody.
Oh my goodness! Well,
It's been a long time.
yeah, and this is kind of role reversal for you, isn't it?
Yes. Big time. I did get interviewed on one other show, but that was like over a year ago, so.
Well, give our viewers a little bit of background on you and what you do and how you do and your voodoo and.
The voodoo you do.
Okay, from as a small child, I could see, hear, speak to spirits, but I wasn't allowed to do it. It scared my mother, and so I learned to hide it all. And so I lost a lot of my gifts. I'm just now starting to get some of them back because I pushed them so far down. But it actually scared me because I was told it was bad, so. It really scared me, but still, I had found out later in life, while I was researching, that I was a highly sensitive person. When I read the description of what a highly sensitive person was, that was me to a T from the time I was, born. And if it wasn't for the article that I had found, I probably still would be having problems. And let's see what else I do. But that got me into the paranormal field. So I've been searching my whole life for something, but now just the last 5 years I've really been into it. I'm also a genealogist, which kind of works the same way. I'm searching dead people in my family. I'm building my family tree, and I have gone back to the 1500s in England and other places in Europe with my family tree line. And as I said, you joked with me earlier, so you wrote it on my page earlier that I always got along with the dead people in my family a whole lot better than the living ones.
Well, that's this is the time of year when people are figuring that out.
Well, it's just like, I've already, Missy Lynn here, she's my sister, not my birth sister, but a sister I made. It was like a few years ago, I went on my Facebook page and started adding all these people as siblings and family members, and someone asked me what I was doing, and I said, well, I got a really screwed up family the first time. I'm making my own this time.
Well, hey, I can't say that I blame you.
Well, we kind of do that too, only we go into antique stores and look for the real pretty framed pictures. And then we give them names.
Yeah.
I should do that. I've seen a lot of really framed pictures that are really pretty, and I was going, oh, if only I knew who this person was.
Well, give him a name and put him on your wall. That's how that works.
Do you see that beautiful frame that Uncle Steve is in? And he was just such a card. Yeah.
Because, quite frankly, I've got the same family, you know. Most of them annoy the snot out of me, so I'm going out and I'm going to collect my own out of antique stores.
I did. If you look at my Facebook page, it shows that my relationship status is widowed. I can dream.
That's good. Can I steal that one?
Yes, you may, you know.
That's because I know she's going to steal it before I do.
Well, the funny thing about it, just 3 weeks ago, he asked me, he requested friendship on Facebook. I will not tell you on air what I said, what I wrote back to him.
That's starting foreplay really early.
Well, no, I'm going to change my status to in a relationship, but it's
Complicated?
complicated. Yeah.
I did that, and someone told me, and then I said I was in an open relationship, and someone told me, no, you're not. I go, listen, my husband lives in Morehead City with his girlfriend. I can sleep with whoever I want. It's not complicated. It's a very open relationship.
You also are of the pagan following.
Yes.
There's a lot of confusion that goes on when that statement is made. There's a lot of assumptions that people have. Could you, to the best of your ability, give us a description of what that means to you?
Or at least the difference between Wiccan and pagan.
Right.
Okay, pagan covers a whole wide variety of different, branches of the religion. And most of them are really, really old. Mostly older than Christianity.
Right.
You got to remember, there was a period of time where it was okay to be pagan, but, you could be killed for being a Christian. Wicca is actually very new. Well, not new, but 1950s is when Wicca came out. And I won't say anything, but I've got several friends who are Wiccan, who follow it truthfully. And then there's the others that I call fluff bunnies.
Nice. Fluffers.
Well, they're just in it for the, the name. They just
the title, yeah.
They think it's fun. And so we call them fluff bunnies, and my friend on our Yahoo page, she goes, fluff bunnies are okay. We have to remember, fluff bunnies are good to have around. They're good for target practice.
I would agree.
But a lot of people think I'm Wiccan, and I'm like, no, I'm not Wiccan. I'm pagan, not Wiccan. My path actually is like a combination of Celtic beliefs and Native American beliefs. And if you look at my family history, I have a lot of Native American blood and a lot of Irish blood in me. So it's like, well, no wonder I, kind of followed that path and went that way. It felt natural. I just always kept going back to, teachings of when I was little, Native American, and I was always interested in that. And so when I was looking for religion, having questions, I started following the Native American path, and then that led me to paganism. And I will admit that the first time somebody contacted me online freaked me out, They were a little over the edge, and they were like high ceremonial witchcraft, and that's not me. I'm earthy. I like the earth. I like, if I had a chance, I'd be sitting on the beach right now with my feet in the sand, just sitting there.
Right. So you just blew right out of my head. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, okay, first of all, are you solo or are you coven?
I'm solo mainly. I've got friends that we all get together, but we're all different in a different path. I didn't really like the coven way. The coven way is more. Covens are normally for families in pagan beliefs. It's more of a family thing, or it's Wiccan. And I'm not Wiccan, so, I do mostly solitary. But I do have friends that I get together, and we'll go for certain holidays. We'll get together, do a circle.
Well, do you celebrate Christmas or Yule or both?
Yule. I celebrate Yule now. When I was, had my husband home and, and in the closet, you could say, I did the Christmas route. But Christmas, it didn't feel right for me, and especially since, it's a lot of people say, that I'm pagan, that I don't believe in Jesus. Okay, well, actually, I do believe in Jesus. I believe he was a man. I just choose not to make him a god. In the Christian religion, they made him a god, and he wasn't supposed to be a god.
Yeah,
He's supposed to be teaching of a God's love, and everybody kind of forgets that.
Yeah, well, you can't make any money preaching love and get alongness. I mean, seriously, that's where a lot, personally, that's where I think a lot of the problem comes from, is it's become too much of a business.
Yeah.
But then again, I also think that churches tend to frown on paranormal investigators too, because they just don't want the competition. They want to be the only ones that can talk to the dead.
True.
So.
But you'll hear Christians all the time. I've had Christians, I don't believe in ghosts. And you don't believe in God.
Well, who do they pray to?
That's what I was wondering. I asked them the same thing.
Well, they pray to the Father.
The Son.
And the what?
And the Holy Ghost.
Yeah, I had an argument with the minister who showed up at my front door over that, and
he never came back.
He never came back. Because he told me I was out demon hunting, and I told him no, I wasn't, and I don't play that game.
Yeah. Have you ever had any experiences out paranormal investigating that your belief system helped you deal with, or you were more enlightened because of it?
Yes. I had one investigation with my, because I've worked with a couple of groups, I'm a member of one group and then I started my own, and I go back and forth between the groups, but one of the groups I'm with is C-Spot, the Carolina Supernatural Phenomena Observation Team. And we were doing an investigation, private home, downtown, down by the river, and while I was getting ready for this investigation, my spirit guides were just chattering away to me, and they were just telling me we needed to be prepared, we needed to be prepared, we needed to be prepared, and I kept asking questions. Okay, do all of us need to be prepared? No. And so as I started naming each person, and at the end of it, figured out, I needed to be prepared, Jason needed to be prepared, and client needed to be prepared. And I didn't understand it, but I told Jason, my feelings, and just told him, I said, be prepared, I took extra, normally I don't carry a whole bunch of pagan stuff with me on an investigation. But I did, but I do normally have, a smudge stick and a sweetgrass braid for cleansing, because I don't want anything to follow me home. And during the investigation is when I found out the client was Catholic. And then we kept trying to narrow, it's like we were chasing the shadow around her house. And then finally we got word we had put the client in her bedroom and had the door shut, and she was in there with somebody else, and they were being real quiet just because it was too cold to just stand outside. And someone kept telling me we needed to be in that room. And it was, when I said it, all of a sudden we heard laughing. Laughing that wasn't any of us. So that freaked out a few of our members. And so it was decided that I would do a solo EVP session in the bedroom with the client. The only other person in the room between me and the client was my cameraman. and everybody else went outside of the building. And so I did an EVP session, and and I'm going back because I'm a genealogist too. I do the historical research, so I'm popping up all these names. We were told that it was a child that was playing around, a small child. Well, I didn't. I started getting these feelings like, how when a child comes up to you and they'll play with your jewelry on your arm.
Right.
Well, I had a charm bracelet, and it felt like somebody was messing with it. I was being poked in my leg, but it was like, I'm saying these names and I'm going, no, I'm using my sensitivity at that point,
Right.
and feeling emotions, and I'm not feeling a child in this room. And finally, I named the name of a man who, a 20-year-old young man who had died in a gunfight. Not in that house, but what it was, that house was bought 2 years later by his wife, and she moved her and the children in after his,
Mm-hmm.
And this poor woman, she's ended up in a mental institution. She lost a home and ended up in a mental institution. And I kind of understand why now, but this entity that we were doing, communicating with, he got mad when I said his name. I outed him, per se, and he got mad, and instead of messing with me, he went to the client. And she felt like somebody had climbed up in her lap. She felt like she was being squeezed. She couldn't breathe. She started panicking. I got pissed and started yelling. And I got her outside the room, and I remember one of the guys on my team is yelling, I thought we said we weren't going to provoke it. And normally you don't hear my cameraman talk at all. He won't talk while we're filming. He yells out, she didn't provoke. It attacked and she's pissed. And I went running around with my smudge stick, and this woman, she was outside with her holy water, and her rosary beads, and calming down. And after the investigation, and after we were packed up, we went to, the breakfast house, get breakfast and talk about the case, wire ourselves down. And I understood why me, Jason, and the client were the ones who needed to be prepared. We were the three that held the tools, that carried the tools with us, to banish this little spirit Sass, when he started acting up. We were the ones who he was scared of. Because we carried the tools with us. I had my smudge stick, She had her holy water.
The cameraman had the camera.
Yeah.
He was
documenting.
totally busted.
Well, he's documenting.
He was filming me the whole time. The whole time I was smudging, he was asking questions about what I was doing. It was. I was never given video of that because I scared the guy who ran C-Spot at the time. I guess I scared him so much. He told me the client never wanted to talk to me again. I've actually talked to the client in the last, few weeks, and they're sending me a copy of the investigation of all the evidence because I've never got to hear any of it,
right.
And it was I scared,
Well, maybe we should talk about that for a minute. That's a good segue into that. We've all, in our own way, shape, or form, run into either paranormal bullying, or drama.
Oh yeah, don't get me started.
Is that something that you've come across a lot?
She said,
yes.
Don't get her started. Did you not hear the woman?
That's why I had to stop doing my show for a while. It was like I had all these haters. I didn't ask to be the host of my show. Yes, I planned the show. I designed it. I was supposed to be behind the scenes. Some cute, bubbly blonde or brunette was supposed to be hosting the show. She didn't even have to know about the paranormal. Just,
Show up. Talk.
Yeah.
Show up and move your mouth. That's all you need to do.
Yeah. And That didn't work out. They kept freezing in front of the camera and went along and went along. Finally, the first day of our show came and me and Joe had to go online. You know, we were the hosts. Then Joe moved and got busy and was working all the time. So it was just me. And it was after we had been on the air for a year. Then they finally posted the logo for the show with my name on it. You know, my name was not there before. And I go, what'd you do that for? They said, we were always going to put the host's name on the logo. And I said, yeah, but I still don't feel like the host. And he goes, you're the host. They want you. But then I still had all these haters who hated the way I did my show, complained about this, complained about that. And I told them, go do it yourself. It doesn't cost anything.
Yeah, there's a great big...
I'm using the cameras that I use for my investigations. I'm using the laptop that I use on my investigations. You know, I got a live stream channel. It's free.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's the same. I mean, that's the same thing we've been telling people. You know, it's a big blue internet. If what we say offends you, first of all, we apologize. We don't need your forgiveness, but we never intentionally set out to, embarrass or,
upset anyone.
Upset anyone. That's not why we do this. If it happens, okay.
All I wanted was to talk to other people in the field, learn how they did things, share how we investigate,
Did you find...
And share...
I'm sorry, did you find that quite a few of them don't like to share?
Yeah. And I'm going, well then, what are you holding on to it for? How are you going to ever prove it's real? Yeah. Even my team, when we do an investigation, we are not the only ones who is going over evidence. I send off evidence. Joe has friends in Pennsylvania and, several different places. And we get the evidence, all on digital form and send it all out to everybody. We want, I have at least 10 people looking at each piece of evidence.
Right.
Because some people will miss things. Just like Joe, we were going over audio recording for a private residence one time, and we could hear singing, but Joe couldn't tell what the songs were. Every woman that listened to it popped up and said, Ring Around the Rosies. They're two little girls singing Ring Around the Rosies. And he said, yeah, there's two little girls, they're singing, but he goes, I don't think it's Ring Around the Rosies. But then I told him, I said, look at you, he's the, third son of 4 boys, no girls in his family.
Right.
He wasn't exposed to Ring Around the Rosies. If you had an older sister, then maybe you were exposed to Ring Around the Rosies, because you were made to, ring around the rosy.
Because you had no choice in the matter.
That's how I got my sisters to play. I made them play with me. And
that's right. But hey, I'm all, I have 4 sisters, so yeah. They had no choice.
We recognize that as soon as we hear them, it's like we heard Ring Around the Rosies. He couldn't hear it. And the few people who could not hear it were people that, were males, and they weren't exposed to that game growing up.
And I'm glad to hear that you have protocols on how you do your review. That's refreshing. A lot of people say, well, when I do my review, okay, well, who else listens to it?
I ask people if they want to listen to it, because I want their point of view.
Right.
But there are some teams out there who will go, got a great investigation tonight, or had one last night. Cool, where'd you go? Not telling.
And it's one thing if they go, it was a private residence and the client doesn't want it. I totally respect that.
No, the one I'm talking about, we found out eventually it was a funeral home, but he still won't give us the name of the funeral home for fear that we may,
Somebody else is going to find my ghost, dadgummit. It's a black... Kim phrased this perfectly about a year ago. It's the black suburban syndrome. People still think that they're gonna spend a couple $100 on some equipment. It's got some bright blinky lights. You're gonna have this paranormal moment.
First investigation.
On your first investigation, 2 minutes into audio review.
And then 10 days later, Hollywood's calling.
Right, and you're gonna be on a plane to go to Hollywood to shoot at Waverly, and then the Shanley Hotel, and then Eastern State, and then you're going to head up to Trans-Allegheny.
And fly over to Alcatraz, and yeah.
And you just want to shake these. It's like that. You remember the scene in Airplane where the lady's getting hysterical, and there's like the line of people to shake her and slap her, and one's got a bat, one's got a pipe. You almost start feeling like that. You know, it's not gonna. It's peaked, folks. It truly has.
And quite frankly, those who are really
even
serious,
the ones that are on TV, that are doing it on TV, they're not making money from this, really.
No. Not like people think they are.
It was Brandy Green. I interviewed her, and she said, she could have made more money staying at home.
Yep.
At a regular job. She says what it did give her was she got a chance to go investigate at places that she would have never got to on her own.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's why I watch them, is for the locations.
Yeah. That, and I want to see what equipment they're using, though.
Yeah.
Though I'm getting a little mad about this, these apps for phones and computers now.
No.
Yeah.
No, please.
That's not you're never going to get any investigation.
Okay, rule number 1 on any investigation when we started years ago was turn your phone off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everybody's got it on. Clicking.
Yeah.
Well, no. Put it away, get out the other equipment, and use that. That's still a telephone.
Yeah, and people don't understand, especially if they have this undying belief in the K2. The K2 is designed to help find electrical wires in a wall. It's not designed to do what we do. So it will respond to almost, its circuitry is designed to respond to almost anything. You could be carrying for your own safety a radio, a little small, walkie-talkie. If you accidentally bump that, it's gonna go off. If your phone checks in with its closest cell tower, it's gonna go off. I mean, that's
again, turn your phone off.
Right. Nobody wants to hear that. I got 12 ghosts around me. Look at my iPhone. And then you ask them, okay, well, what kind of input, other than how you're holding the phone, how is your phone getting input? And they'll look at you like, I don't know.
It's an app. It's a game.
It's totally...
It's not a tool.
Now, I can see it to a point if you're out somewhere, not on an investigation per se, just visiting somewhere or whatever, and you see something strange, and the only thing you have is your phone with your camera, and you click a picture. That I can see.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's no need for it.
Yeah. And you can carry your phone if you put it in airport mode. I think they have an airport mode now.
I have no
That
clue.
basically turns off all incoming and outgoing transmissions from the phone. So anything on the phone that doesn't require outside, like the camera or video or anything like that, you can take it, which means you basically are carrying around a phone. I've used a BlackBerry before to record.
Right.
Yeah.
But the incoming outcoming
my
was turned
favorite
off.
recorder is an MP3 player.
Yeah.
I have it's a little bitty square, MP3 player. On a full charge, it will keep recording for 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten some really good, I like it. What we do is with it, and I only paid $35 for it, is I turn it on when we first get there. We find the center location of where we're at, and I actually take a couple of pieces of tape and tape it to the table or wherever I'm putting it so it doesn't move, it doesn't, can't get bumped. And we just let that play the whole time while we're setting up until after we close down. And I didn't spend a lot of money on it. My cameras are still regular cameras, or security cameras.
Right.
Hooked up to VCRs.
Yeah, you don't have to. I think you've hit on a very serious topic right there. It's you don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on equipment or have a 19-channel DVR player to be able to go do paranormal investigations. In fact, a lot of teams that we know that are serious about this, that aren't groups of tourists, basically, they're scaling back.
Yeah.
Because they've figured out that when you have 16-channel DVR system, and you run it for 4 hours, that's
Way
64 hours.
too much.
64 hours of watching that you have
Well,
to do.
see, that's another thing of mine. I tell people I'm going on an investigation, and then the next day they ask me what evidence I caught.
Yeah.
Right.
It takes me 48 hours of sleep before
I
can
even
even
turn
look at my
anything on,
evidence.
right.
With Kim, it's exactly 4 pots of coffee.
And two, say you're just using 8 pieces of equipment, just 8. That's just for counting purposes. And your investigation is 5 hours. That's 40 hours of evidence right there.
Yeah.
That you can't skim through. And I've noticed it takes 3 hours to go through 1 hour of evidence because you'll be going along.
What was
you
that?
hear something, you repeat it a few times, you go along again, and you keep doing that. So that 40 hours of evidence just turned into 120 hours.
Right.
I have fallen asleep luckily I do keep a notepad, and every once in a while I'll write down what time stamp I'm at. When I've heard some, because I've fallen asleep while doing.
Yeah.
Okay, this was the last stamp I wrote.
Yeah. And really, you lose your attention span. You lose it after about an hour, especially if there's a lot of I don't want to say dead air, but because that would be a really bad ghost pun. But there's a lot of dead time, a lot of not any noise or any background noise or anything, a lot of white noise. It'll lull you. And trust me.
Yeah. Right off to sleep I go,
Yeah.
And then I wake up and I'm like, oh no, where was I? So I have to go look at my notebook and see where I was last.
Yeah. Hope you
And
didn't.
as my sister just said, it doesn't matter how much stuff costs if you don't understand the data, how EMF works or
Right.
any of that, it doesn't matter.
Or if you don't know that a millimeter only cycles once every 3 seconds. So doing this kind of stuff with your millimeter, guess what? You're not going to get anything. If
Yeah.
you do it with a tri-field meter that has the magnetic needle, guess what? You're just bouncing that needle back and forth. You don't have ghosts. You've got a palsy going on because you're shaking it so much.
Well, you've also got a dead water bug,
God.
a rubber tree. We were on an investigation, and one of the guys who was with us at the time, it wasn't on our team, completely different. It was just a whole group of us got together. He had the one with the extra antenna, and he'd put it on the table, touched the wooden table with it. Look, this table, it's haunted.
Oh
Touched
my
a
God.
dead water bug, a rubber tree, the bricks outside, everything was haunted.
Yeah.
Because he's actually touching the antenna to the object.
Right, because that particular millimeter, when you have the antenna out, it puts out a field. That way that the thought process being the entity can just, manipulate the field without having to actually touch a meter or whatever. They can just get close to it. But this will tell you how, and when we go off air, we'll tell you who this
Yes, you know them.
chard was. But we went outside, and this particular location is in an older river town, so it's very hilly. And just outside the front door is the power lines. Like the power lines are like 6 or 8 feet from the building,
No, they're not even that far.
or not even that far. And he was actually holding his millimeter up, and we were like, you when you get a reaction and you're just holding it underneath the power line, it's kicking out a pretty strong field. Well, he goes,
Yeah.
but look, when you hold it down here close to the ground, there's more electricity down there. Electricity must run downhill. And it was everything we could do to go, we just want to take a hammer and stop it. Because electricity doesn't run downhill for everybody that wants to know. Because that means the people that live at the top of it will have to pay more because they got to pump all that electricity up to them.
Well, that's
my-
like driving north. It takes more gas to drive north than it does south.
And I actually explained to him the entire thing I just explained about the field, and he said, no, that's not what that is. That's not how that works. Okay, Jeff.
My thing too is in the cost of all this equipment. It was like when those EMF pumps.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was making them and selling them for $100, $200, $300 for an EMF pump.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went online and went to see what their main, how they were made.
Ceiling fan motor.
It's not even just a fan motor.
Yeah, the box fan. The box fan motor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I also found a fan that's better. They're little small. In fact, I've got one here. See these little metal fans? Get them at Walmart. The little one like this is less than $10.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple in my equipment. We use them as EMF pumps. What we did was we went in and took the blades off.
Mm-hmm.
Put them back together. Because when we turn them on, if you hold your K2 meter or anything to it, puts it through the roof. So we do it to use it as an EMF pump, to see if people, see if the spirits
need any help.
Yeah, if they need some energy, there, we just made them some.
Yeah, I did the same
I
thing.
I didn't put it in a enclosed box or anything. I didn't have to.
Eric?
They're saying you have to do it to contain all the EMF to one area. I go, these little fans, you go put your EMF detector next to it and watch it, go through the roof there.
Eric put his in a butter tub
See this?
filled with dirt.
Well, you can't see this, I don't believe.
I can't see this. I can't see it.
Okay, imagine a butter tub covered in gray duct tape with highlights and orange duct tape. Okay, and I have a little stick of magnets on the top of it. These are, you'll hear me talk about these on various shows. This is a flower pot of doom.
Yes, that's what he and Tim Rancorn and Tommy Golden have dubbed them.
The biggest thing about it is your fans, they have to be plugged in, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, this is battery powered. That's a stick of just ferromagnets. Okay?
Battery operated butter tub.
Basically a battery operated butter tub full of dirt to hold the vibration, because it's very hard to make this thing spin without it having it vibrate. Now, I will say this. If you have a pacemaker and you're near this thing, be careful. But when I turn it on, like everybody can kind of see, basically what happens is the motor spins. And I create EMF by moving in a magnetic field, and it spins. Within 6 inches or 8 inches of this, it pegs a millimeter out on its highest setting. This goes out to about 10 or 12 feet. It has a noticeable effect on a millimeter. So, and this is totally portable. There's no batteries, there's no nothing in this. In fact, I haven't even run this in a year, and it's still got batteries in it.
Right.
If everybody noticed, there was a video that's part of our intro.
But you didn't spend a lot of money,
Oh God, it's a mason jar.
I think he spent $3.89 on everything to build it.
Well, if you count the cost of the butter,
Yeah, that was the
and
most expensive part.
and the jar, this might have cost me $10. Parts from Radio Shack. I got the magnets for free.
Dirt out of the yard.
Dirt out of the yard.
But, that's exactly what I'm saying. You don't need to spend a lot of money to go get special equipment.
That's right.
Everybody's getting these special cameras. Well, I only have my regular camera. All I did was I went out and bought IR lights, made a little bar so they sit right next to the camera. Now my camera can see in the dark.
I'm a dowser, so my equipment's even less.
Yeah. And the best audio equipment that we've used so far and collected data with is the $30 RCA Walmart special voice recorder with the little flip out USB connect.
Well, as I said, mine is was an MP3 player, $35. I got it, to listen to music on, and then I found out it recorded, and it records pretty good.
But wait a minute. You mean it's not what you have; it's how you use it. That's an interesting concept.
Yeah, I took things I already had,
Right. And like your sister had mentioned a minute ago, you have to understand.
Yeah.
What it's doing. Because you ask people all the time. I've asked people before. Well, what is EMF? It's electromagnetic field force. Okay.
And where does it come from?
Yeah. What causes that?
Yeah. Well, somebody will ask me when we do our first sweep and all that. Everyone goes, "What are you looking for?" I said, "Right now, I'm looking for rogue EMF."
Yeah.
They said, "What do you mean?" I go, "EMF that's popping out, and it's I can follow it back to like an electrical box or something, because I want to make sure. Well, any evidence I get in that area is not going to be good. There's an electrical box over there,
Right.
So that's the first thing we go looking for. We go make sure we find all the rogue EMF and mark it, so we know not to go stand near there because that's just going to make all our evidence useless.
And little word of advice: don't ever carry your recorder in your watch pocket,
Especially if you haven't eaten.
especially if you haven't eaten. That was like listening to a herd of Sasquatch for 6 hours when I had to go back and review that.
Oh, that can't be as bad as me. I had 4 cameras. We had 6 hours of videotape on each camera. And because the first time we went, we set up all the cameras, and I always make a map. I make a map of where I put all the cameras. Then I have to go take these tapes and put them into, DVD form so I can send them off to everybody. And because as I said, one person's not checking any piece of evidence, I got 10 people on each piece. And I've got people had stated that, that everything was nice and, clear, but they were hearing music. I couldn't hear any music. Okay, well, I've got all the hours of video static with gospel music, old-timey gospel music. I'm pagan. After a few hours, I shut the volume off, and just let it record. I said somebody else is going to have to listen for anything because all I'm hearing is gospel music, and you can only handle 2 hours of that before you go crazy.
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the next time we went to this investigation, we went 1 month later. We used our map that we had made and set up all the cameras in the exact same places, pointing, all my cameras are numbered, so I used exact same cameras at each spot, too. This time, people are saying, "Oh, beautiful, beautiful," So, what I'm seeing is, we're hearing music. Nobody else is hearing it, but we're hearing it through our microphones. But nobody else is hearing it. And so we have,
More hours of music.
and it didn't show up on the tape. It
Oh.
did not show up on the tape. It was the complete opposite of the first time we went.
Right.
Because the first time we thought maybe we had radio interference.
Yeah.
And the second time they were sure of it till it wasn't there.
Yeah.
Well, it could be like our first exposure to the instrumental transcommunication field. We had gone to Podunk, Missouri, and I mean we are in the middle of nowhere. Was a populated city compared to where we were at. And we started messing around with, and it wasn't even an actual Frank's box or anything else. It was this like fake pre-labeled thing that said Ghost Box, and it was just a scanning radio.
Yeah.
I mean that's all it did.
Oh.
But we were so far out. It only got reception from like 3 AM stations. Nothing on the FM scan. So we left it on the AM scan. But the one really strong station that it was getting that night was playing the radio versions of the Twilight Zone.
Talking Tina episode.
Talking Tina. The Talking Tina episode. And I mean, I got into it. And it would stop and start scanning, and we're like, hey, put Talking Tina back on.
And it would stop.
And it would stop, and it would scan, and finally it'd go back to the stream, and it's like, man. But that was our first exposure to ITC, and we've since done more experiments and worked with it a little more.
And we've since decided Kim doesn't like it at all,
Yeah.
so stop turning it on around me. But that's another story.
Yeah, Kim, she can't handle the.
Yeah. I get it because a lot of people weren't doing it correctly, You just can't listen to what words it's popping up. Now, but if you're asking a question to a certain entity and you keep getting that one voice, saying the different words, but you can tell it's that voice, that's when it's a little interesting.
Yeah.
But, if it's using a different voice with each word it's saying, it's just scanning.
Well, like he said, it also depends on where you're at. If you're only getting the Twilight Zone, Rod Sterling's voice is nice, but he's really not telling you much.
Yeah, and I seriously doubt Rod Serling and William Shatner have both died and are in this house in the middle of the country in Missouri. Just saying.
And plus, we're never going to, be able to use it as evidence, really. It's
well,
just a radio.
They were originally talking to the box, and it said his name was Steve.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember. It was like a back and forth conversation for like 15, 20 minutes, and then someone asked something, and as soon as they asked it, it went to Talking Tina. And it wasn't coming up off Talking Tina. It was Twilight Zone, game on.
And I will say this: we did have a team member. Well, he's still on the team. He's just separated with distance now.
Anthony?
Mike,
yeah. Well, Mike has his own team too.
Yeah, he's
so.
on. Yeah, he's branched out. Anyway, he had let us borrow the SB7, which is a version of the scanning radio designed to actually do that. You don't have to go in and hack this thing; it's already kind of hacked. But we survived the tornado that went through St. Louis a couple of years ago. We lived exactly 13 minutes from the airport. I mean, it literally hopped over our house because we lived at the top of the hill. But we found out, being the resourceful ghost people that we are,
that if you put the wire back, it becomes a radio, and you can get news.
Yeah, if you turn off the scan, guess what? We didn't have TV or electricity for 3 days.
Right. And we had a internet telephone, so we were messed up there too.
Yeah.
No way to charge your cell phone, so it's like only you didn't want to use it just because you wanted to save it for an emergency. But my point being that there are these tools that are out there. You have to know what they can do. You have to read the owner's manual. I know that's against the rules for most men, but you have to read the owner's manual. And it'll tell you things like millimeter only scans every 3 seconds. So you're not jerking it around and slinging it around going, well, look at all these fancy readings. No, you're not. You're resetting it and resetting it and resetting it. You're not actually letting it do anything.
We noticed when I was with C-Spot that the leader of our, the guy who had started the team, he had surgery. He had a real bad accident. He had a steel plate in his head. We found out that some of our equipment would go off near his head. Well, do you know when he started a new group, he did not tell them that?
Oh.
And so they're thinking they've got paranormal activity. And then they were talking to me about it, and I go, no, he's got a steel plate in his head. He sets off equipment.
Yeah, there's certain information you must tell your team.
Gluten intolerance is one.
Right.
Well, he started his new team. He called it ASS. Don't know what it stands for, but
isn't that Appalachian Spirit Society?
No, this was in North Carolina.
That's Jeff Leeper's ghost. That's his joke group. Yeah, but yes, they did call it the Appalachian Supernatural Society or something.
This guy, all he wanted to be a ghost hunter. He didn't want to be a paranormal investigator. He wants that one piece of evidence that he can sell for money.
Good luck with that.
Let us know how that turns out for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, he's on his 4th team now, so.
And it's not the team's fault.
No.
Yeah.
He's in it to date girls and find that piece of evidence.
The paranormal dating game. That's seriously a game show like the dating game is the only thing the paranormal TV hasn't tried yet. You know what I'm saying? Like if you had Grant Wilson being the host of like the dating game,
She prefers buildings over 100 years old. Her favorite piece of equipment is the millimeter, and she prefers to wear black. Sheila, come on down.
Right. Ghost Hunter number 1.
That would be very, very scary.
It would be hilarious, so we would all be sitting there just rolling.
Yeah.
And Lord help them if they got back on Facebook.
Well, I don't know. It's when they came up with that, when Ghost Hunters came up with, that third show they had come out with where they're...
Academy?
What was it called? Yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
watch it. I watched a couple of them, and then I quit watching it.
Yeah.
They turned it into a game.
Yeah.
They turned it into a game, and it was no longer interesting to me.
I've started referring to all the shows as infotainment.
Oh, I see. Well, PSI goes, you want drama? Look for love in the ghost hunting group.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I'm not going to date anybody in my team. I don't even want if somebody I'm dating on a team with me.
Well, I like at least one of the members of our team.
That's because I own the team.
Yeah, well, that's there is that. She keeps me around to haul all the heavy stuff.
But we do not investigate together.
No, we really don't.
Even in the
I'm
same...
sorry, that sounded a little mean. I'm sorry. I love you, honey. But
We
yeah,
don't.
We don't. We really don't.
And it's not that we do it intentionally or consciously. It's just we walk into a building and completely go separate ways every time.
Because I generally have stuff that I want to try to do, and Kim has stuff that she wants to try to do. And,
Because he's techie and I'm dowsing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I do improper things, like I'll go to the deepest, darkest hole in the place by myself when I shouldn't go down there by myself. But I'll go down to a basement and it's supposed to be haunted and full of everything. And
I was with my team. It seems like I was always by myself half the time. Doing solo things. I was beginning to feel like Chris Williams.
Or
They've got some ghosts over there. Let's send Chris in there by herself to see what And it's like that's what they were doing with me. I was going.
Or Aaron. Come here, Aaron. We're gonna summon a demon, and we're gonna shove you in a locker with the demon. Okay?
Don't even get me started on demons. Oh. I get so tired of people telling people that they've got a demon in their house.
thank you.
I interviewed 5 different demonologists while I was on the air, while I was doing my show. All of them had at least 20 to 35 years experience, and each one of them, they had stated they had between 5 and 7 true demonic cases in their entire career.
Exactly.
These aren't demons. Can a spirit be nasty? Yes. That one that attacked my client? Yes. He was a 21-year-old. He had died, 20 years old, died in a gunfight. He was a nasty asshole. There's no way to say about it,
Yeah.
He probably
when he was living.
started it.
And he brought it to his, and he stayed doing it while he was dead.
Yeah. People are not gonna. You're not gonna change. If you're at a certain vibration and a certain energy level on this planet, when you pass away, when your physical body stops, you don't all of a sudden get like a tuning rod, get slapped on the table, and you
Well, actually,
grow
he did
wings.
change a little bit. He did change a little bit. He after the investigation, I was told that when they went back, he had come back to the house. He was still at the house, but he wasn't acting like he did before. And that when I got to go over to the house, she looked at me. She goes, "He's scared of you." Because remember, I smudged his ass the last time I was there.
Right.
He was actually scared of me.
Right, but what he's saying is generally
Yeah.
if they're a jerk
But-
in life, they're a jerk in
Yeah.
death. And
Oh yeah,
even jerks can be intimidated.
Yeah.
yes.
There's always somebody bigger. There's always somebody faster.
I am bigger.
I'm just mouthier.
And she'll cut them. She is from South St. Louis.
Who's that?
Me.
I'm from all over. Nobody knows where I'm from. Born in Ohio, raised in Florida, lived around the world. And I'm stuck in North Carolina.
And we're so sorry for that.
Have you if you had a friend or an acquaintance or just somebody that asked, and they were just getting into this, but they were serious. You knew they weren't a thrill seeker for this. What's the one suggestion you would have for a new paranormal investigator?
Run.
Running shoes. Nike preferably.
Keep an open mind, don't go into some place looking for a ghost. Don't, go over your evidence, keep going over your evidence, and use the bare minimum of evidence, A recorder is your number one thing you need. Camera is the second thing you need.
Pencil and
The
paper.
rest of it is not needed.
Well, you need a pencil and a paper and a flashlight.
Yeah,
Because when you get into
Oh,
the
yeah.
deepest, darkest hole, you got to find your way back out.
That's true.
yeah. Put a little red film, you can get red films to put on your cameras, and that way you can still see and not hurt your eyes, blind yourself. But yeah, a flashlight. And then just use your feelings, when I go into an investigation, the first thing I do, I have my recorder going, and, I've got my camera, and then I just walk around. The lights don't have to be on or off at this point. I'm just going around feeling energies.
Right.
And plus, I'm getting my feel of the layout, because in a little bit, when they turn off the lights, I'm going to be dark. And I'm a big girl, you don't want to trip in the dark.
I feel your pain. Yeah. I have to watch staircases, old floors, plastic furniture.
Some wooden furniture.
Some very thin wooden furniture, some very thin metal furniture. Yeah. And with that being said, it's also very important that people know the situations that you're getting into. The Harris family incident that just happened with Sarah Harris, that's a very serious deal. People.
She the one who got sick?
Yeah, and they believe
Yeah.
they haven't. They haven't. That's the one thing I will say. They've put out warnings to people, but they've never come out and said that it was for sure because of. But they say that that's the only way. That's the only thing they can plausible explanation they've come up with.
Yeah, I have asthma, so it's like inside my gear are masks and gloves.
Right. But people.
And there are places, that we've gone into where I went into one. Our cameraman left early because he had such a bad headache. He called us. We told him to call us when he got home to let us know. He said as soon as he got across the bridge, his headache went away. And while I was walking there, I took my finger. I had the glove on. And I said, "Look at this," and I ran down my finger down door frames, and it's mildew.
Yeah. And some people are more susceptible to,
Yeah,
or have a stronger reaction to.
I've had asthma my whole life, so it's like,
Yeah.
mask was on. I don't care how, I might look like an idiot in the videos, but
Well, there are just times when, you know what, I'd much rather look stupid than dead.
yeah. Plus, we didn't stay as long, when we realized how much mildew was in the place. We got as much evidence, to review as we could, and then we packed it up early and left.
Well, that's one thing.
It was like
That's one thing I
causing
always.
headaches.
That's one reason why I operate the way I do when we go on investigations. Is generally if you can go down into a basement type situation, and you start seeing the stuff that could affect the atmosphere, like the mold. You start seeing stuff. Standing water down there. You start seeing the indicators of what could be causing this. Atmospherically. Well, then you have something you could help people explain why this is happening.
Yeah.
I know with some of the recent Facebook drama, and I'm not going to get into that specifically, but one of the things that got brought up about the location was the fact that there was asbestos there, and I don't think people quite fully grasp how bad asbestos really is for you, and how sick it will make you. And it won't make you sick that day.
Mesothelioma.
It'll make you sick 25 years later.
Yeah.
So people need to understand that if that's in a location, I think that needs to be something that people need to know. That's not something.
And
that
then
needs
what
to be
I
hidden.
got so mad about it is, they're all upset because they think their evidence is real. If you go on an event, I don't go to the events to get evidence.
No.
I go on a private, investigation to get evidence.
That's like going on a subway to get a date.
Yeah. I go, any evidence you get, and then, it was the paranormal bullying that started
Oh, yeah.
during all this.
It's the sheep. It's the sheep.
The ones who said they were against bullying the most,
Had the most bullies.
were the ones who were the bullies.
Yeah.
I deleted about 20 paranormal people, well-named ones from my Facebook page. And there was another 20 to 30 people that I changed my settings to where what they post doesn't pop up on my wall because I didn't want to see it anymore. And these were people that I had cared about and talked to a lot, and then you're sitting there acting this way? And you attack someone just because he gave his view?
Right.
And called him a fraud? Yet, he was just doing, he didn't do this lightly.
He did the right thing. He didn't necessarily do it the right way. He
Yeah.
did the right thing for the right reasons. And yeah, I lost a lot of respect for a lot of people during that whole thing on both sides of it, but
Yeah.
generally on mostly on one side, and it was simply because of the reasons that you've already stated.
Bully.
They became what they preached not to be.
Well, and we're friends with a lot of people on both sides, and I won't comment on any of it. I'm refuse to take sides on any of that stuff.
Yeah, but my whole thing being is if you're putting people in that kind of danger, that needs to be known, even if it's not a primary reason for anything else that's ever happened there. If it has the possibility of being there, and people have the possibility, especially if you're going to have an event there, and there's a possibility that small children are going to enter this building.
Yes.
That to me becomes a very serious responsibility that they have, and that's all I'm saying about that. But I mean, it's just sad.
Well, the building had been, and the papers were posted and everything else had been shut down due to an extreme amount of asbestos, period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Should have been the end of the discussion, but it didn't.
Yeah, of course. You had the sheep battle royale broke out.
Yeah, we had a couple that, have gotten evidence from there, and they're big names, and they're getting ready to put that evidence out for the world, and make money off of it. And so, I mean, they got evil.
Yeah.
And it made me lose all respect for them.
Yeah, that's why we try to stay out of it over here.
Yeah. I don't post on the drama.
Yeah.
I will torment her and a few others.
I
but
ranted you, as fact, Kim, I think that's what you were seeing when you asked me, it was right in the middle of all that. I was ranting about how I was deleting people.
Right.
I don't have you on my regular page.
You just got on my regular page today.
Yeah. So you were just spying on me there, but I don't, I've gotten to the point where I don't let a lot of paranormal people on my regular page anymore because, well, they just want to be my friend because I'm the Paranormal Night Stalker.
Right.
Okay, I will be nice to you on the Paranormal Night Stalker page. Go over there and, listen to me. On my page.
Game on.
It's my page.
Yeah. I've been told that before.
Well, I'm not normally a mean, hateful person, but I do tend on my regular page to say more what I mean than I do on my Pema page.
In my personal page, even though I know I'm notoriously known throughout Facebook as being a pork product provider / spammer, that's because I'm passionate about getting our message out. It's not because I get any great thrill or pleasure from doing it. I'm trying to get our message out to people because we have a show like this and we try to get the good information out to people. And I'm passionate about that, so I'm gonna spam the groups anyway.
Yeah.
On my personal page, I will get opinion.
That's what I always wanted to do with my show, and my show got a little bit too. People asking me to be a guest, and it just, when they start telling me, I had some guy. He sent me a list of questions. I was not to ask any other question but the ones on that list. There was little numbers next to each question. We added it up. Those were the time periods of how much time he was going to spend on each question. It added up to 2 hours.
Yeah, no.
He was scripting my whole show.
Then why didn't you just take over for the night and give you the night off?
And I didn't even know who he was. He asked to be on my show. I didn't, Barry Fitzgerald, I went and asked him to be on my show,
Right.
The other people, we asked them,
Yeah.
This guy, he asked.
Yeah.
We put him on an empty spot,
Yeah.
and then he wants to, and I was already starting to burn out at that point, I hadn't had a break in a while and doing this every week, and there was a few weeks we did shows twice a week. Because my show was normally on Sundays, yet when we did the Barry Fitzgerald show, because of his schedule, how busy he was, we did him on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Earlier than we normally do, just to get him filmed, and then we showed it the next Sunday to everybody. But, they wanted to script my show. And I went to a network that tried to steal my show. And then tried to tell me I couldn't use the name The Paranormal Night Stalker. I said, I'm sorry, dear, but that's already registered, and not to me.
That's right.
My partner, copyrighted it, registered it. It's signed, sealed, I only became The Paranormal Night Stalker because I was hosting the show. Which I did not want to do. Didn't have plans to do that,
Stop it.
But, I am thinking about going back and, redoing the show, but this time I want to do it a little differently, do it the way we did it in the beginning. Just talk to regular people again.
Yeah.
Right. And some of these people can be a little difficult too, like, hey, Star, you want to be on my show? I don't got nothing to say.
What was my question? I was going, why?
Well,
why would you want to talk to me?
Well, I guess you're on my friends page. I guess I'll talk to you, but why do you want me on your show?
Yeah.
All I do is rant. Then if we look, when we look back on it, people always said my rant shows were the better shows.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd rant about, it was all paranormal, but, etiquette, paranormal etiquette, rules.
Oh my God! You don't say the I word. Integrity. Don't say that.
She didn't.
I didn't.
And there's a lot of people.
I call it etiquette. There are certain rules you need to follow.
That's right.
Always have permission when you go into a place. Because if you don't have permission to be in there, any evidence you got is not really yours.
Leave it as clean.
It belongs to the person who owns the place.
Leave it as clean, if not cleaner, than when you walked in.
Yes.
Don't dump powder all over the place and go, see ya.
Don't tear up things, don't.
Be respectful
Yeah.
of the living and the dead.
Don't
Yeah.
tell them when the mousetrap snaps, it's a demon.
My favorite thing is I would get so mad and I had to retrain my whole team. The one question I will not allow to be asked during an EVP session, well, it's a couple of questions, but it has to do, do you know you're dead? When did you die?
Thank you.
Sometimes they don't know. I went into a place one time and I was asking questions and all of a sudden I went and wrote down on a piece of paper, handed it. I said, do not ask it. He goes, why? I go, she doesn't know. We were talking with someone who the answer, we're getting, by the blinking of lights, and all that, was she did not know why she couldn't leave there. She did not know where her family had gone. So to me, she didn't know she was dead.
Right.
I'm not going to upset her and tell her that. If you go tell me I'm dead, I'm going to get upset. Then I'm not going to want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, and don't make claims. Don't make claims. Don't make claims to people that you can't back up.
Yeah. Don't yell at them. Don't provoke them. I said the only provoking I like was remember Amy on Ghost Hunters?
Yes.
I liked her way of provoking. It was just so sweet, and it's just a little push.
Amy Bruni.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The rest of them, they're sitting there threatening them. Don't threaten a ghost. You can't see where they're going.
Well, don't threaten them anyway because you can't see when they're behind you or in front of you. And if you go down the steps, hey, you asked for that one. What kills me is throw a rock at me. Did you throw a rock at me? Well, you just told him to.
Yeah.
You know, pull my hair, tug my shirt. Oh my God, something touched me. Really? If it's intelligent and you tell me
I got
to do
my hair pulled the first time I ever got my hair pulled. You know, it was just, I've got equipment in my hair and I'm going like this. It's going, I think something just grabbed my ear. It felt like something just grabbed the ear and just ran by, you know, just a little tug. And I'm going like this, making sure my earrings aren't stuck to my hair or something. But I couldn't feel anything because I've got my hands full of equipment. And I can't bring them close to my body because they'll go off if they get near each other.
She got to go see Wet Willie.
She did.
It was a little girl. It's an investigation, one of my most famous ones, the one I'm writing a book on it.
Ooh.
Well, it's going to be part of a bigger book, but it's going to be a whole chapter for, we call her Sweetie because we never did find out her name. She was 4 years old, and we moved her on. I got a friend of mine who helped me, and we moved her to go through the light because she was scared. She didn't belong where she was. She was truly lost, you know, and the owner of the place did not want us moving on any ghosts, but when you have the resident ghost that you know that's there says, I don't want her here. And it wasn't that he didn't really not want her. He knew she didn't belong. And she needed to be moved on. And, it was really hard to do, too, because, she's only 4. Little girl, little 4-year-old. But she was the one, we were chasing her around the bathroom. We didn't realize it was her, but that's who we were chasing this blob around the bathroom, And, some of the EVPs we got was we heard this knock on the, like the wall or something.
Mm-hmm.
Heard this knock, and we go, did you hear that? Can you do it again? But when we listened back to the audio, the EVP we got back was, she's there, she's not there. He was trying to help us catch her, She was playing hide and go seek. She was very good.
Well, another one of the questions that just annoys me to no end, I'm one of these people who does the research on the property ahead of time, simply because I like to go in and say, so-and-so, hi, how are you, blah, 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 instead of, is anybody here? What's your name? Can you tell me your name? You know what? If someone walked to my house and said, is anybody here? Can you tell me your name? I'd be looking at him going, fool.
You tell me yours, You just walked into my house. Well, we did have one investigation, a very active one, where the first night we were there, it was just me and Joe. We had gone to do interviews and ended up doing a little mini session with what cameras and recorders we had on us at the time. And we had set up my laptop with a webcam going in there into the room. And we said, okay, we're going to leave you alone now. We're going to shut this door. We're going to leave you alone for a while. Just, you can talk and play and do whatever you want to the cameras, but we're not going to bother you. We'll be back in about an hour. And we went downstairs to, interview the client. Well, Joe had gone upstairs and he walked by and he hit one cord running from the laptop and noticed that the camera turned over. So he leans in, opens the door, leans in, and just, puts the camera back up like it should be. And he felt himself like he got pushed down,
Mm-hmm.
He thought he had a dizzy spell, because we're up, we've had lots of coffee, 5-hour energy drinks, We weren't planning on this investigation, so it was a big, we're not prepared. Well, that's when we got back the audio, and that was the one audio where we had heard some little girls singing Ring Around the Rosies. You also hear an older English woman talking. And then you hear the time when Joe knocks over the camera. You can hear him go in, open the door, and then you hear this pop. like, hitting a watermelon,
Right.
or a bald head, the back of Joe's bald head, at the same time that Joe had his, what he called his dizzy spell. And you hear the English woman said, "Get out."
What?
Yeah, he heard that and he thought it was something evil and all that. And I was going, no, you got to listen to all of it. The little girls were playing. The woman was in there. We had told them we weren't going back in the room for a while. He didn't ask to go into the room. He just opened the door to fix the camera.
Right.
She was protecting those little girls.
Absolutely.
She wasn't being evil, she was mothering them,
Well, it's like if you know the name of the person whose room you're entering, it's polite. Knock on the door, introduce yourself, say, can I come in? Don't just, okay. Well, that's like, are you here? Knock. If you don't want us here, knock again. To confirm that, knock again. Okay, if you said you were going to leave if they knocked and you heard a knock, get out.
Yeah. That was my problem. They'd ask that question, and then they'd stay and keep going. We see, I got pushed out of a room once. We were doing the walkthrough, and I was the last person to leave that room, and this was a room where an old slave woman, that had been her room. She was very religious towards the end of her life. And I felt like a hand pushing me out of the room, and I kept trying to turn back and go back in to pull the door shut as we were leaving, and I'm like, I couldn't do it. And I said, oh, don't do it later, and I walked on out. And I said, I'm not going back in there. I go, whoever's in there does not want me in there. And me and a friend were talking about it later, about why this woman did not want me in there. And she goes, could it be because you're pagan? And I said, and she's Christian. I said, I don't think so, because Jason's pagan, and she didn't push him out. And then the question she asked, she goes, yes, but does she have an Ankh tattooed over her, right here on my breast, over my heart?
Uh-huh.
And he goes, does Jason have any tattoos? I go, no, Jason doesn't have any tattoos at all. He's got the ear,
right,
plugs and piercings, but he has no tattoos. Well, I have an Ankh, right here. Right there.
Yep.
And it's like, to her, that's probably putting an evil sign right over my heart. Some people believe your heart, your soul is there at your heart. And so we think maybe that's why she didn't want me in there. Every time I did go in that room, went for later investigations, I would get sick in that room. Very, very nauseous. There's no electricity to that part of the house. It was the old slave quarters. They had no electricity whatsoever. And
well, a lot of times I think you may remind them of someone too.
Yeah. Well, we think maybe it's because, I had the Ankh right here.
Right. But
I marked my soul.
Well, we've been on investigations to where we found out that one of the investigators with us looked a lot like another woman in this particular entity's life before that she didn't like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that
well, we
becomes
have entities that didn't like each other. In fact, that house, we encountered a young man, not really young, late teens, early 20s maybe, but he was in another part of the house, and me and Jason were using pendulums,
yes,
at communication session with them. And we do the two of them, and normally we're back to back, so we can't see each other's answers, and the camera will be on us to record it. And we were getting this, and we asked if he knew about the woman in that back room. Yes. Does he go talk to her? No. And then he didn't want to talk a lot. I go, do you want me and Jason to leave? No. Do you want Jason to leave? No. Do you want me to leave? Yes. He wasn't comfortable with women.
right.
So I said, okay, I'm going to go downstairs and I'll get one of the other investigators to come up and, sit and talk to you. But, even spirits are scared of each other at times.
Well,
And scared of the people going in.
Well, and they'll talk about us too, because we've heard of EVP from one particular location specifically to where they've gotten all kinds of EVP of them talking about the investigators. Can they see us? I don't think so. Should we go after them? No, leave them alone. You know, they're having conversations, and we're the subjects.
And Cy is asking a question in the chat room, and no, Cy, I can say I have never heard that. I think the question that he's asking, I personally, I don't think it's so much a matter of control as it is a matter of power levels and experience. I think some older, stronger spirits can manipulate others, but I don't think it's a control. There's not like a puppet. Yeah. They're not puppets. I don't think that.
I think it also has to do with where they are in their reality. You know, the time period they lived in. Because we did an investigation downtown. It was some type of club, you know, one of those like Shriners or something like that. I can't remember which one it was called, but they were actors and comedians. That was this particular group. Elks.
Yes.
Masons?
Yeah. No, not the Masons. The Elks. The Elks were like actors and comedians and stuff like that. And in this building, you know, we're asking this woman has been seen up on the top floor. And that's a special area of the old Elks building. And, you know, women weren't allowed in the Elks then. So we're asking, you know, we're doing, you know, an EVP session, and we're asking if there's any women there. Even though we could get women's voices, they wouldn't talk to us. And the men kept telling us there was no women.
It was the bordello.
Yeah.
In that time that women weren't allowed up there, so, you know, they're not going to tell anybody that the women were up there.
Right.
It was against the rules.
Except for after hours and 12 whiskeys.
Yeah. I also asked him one time, we were working with a Ouija board. Okay? I don't like Ouija boards by Parker Brothers. They did a game, you know. I do not believe a Ouija board is a portal to evil. You know, if that's so, then so isn't your recorder when you do an EVP session.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's a communication tool. And if it's used correctly, that's what it is. It's a communication tool. And we were using using a Ouija board, and we were asking all these questions, and we're getting some really, really strange answers to these questions. We're writing, somebody's writing down, you know, the letters, even though they weren't spelling anything. The really interesting thing was later when we went and did a Google search on this and found out all this interesting things that kind of went with the building. But still, I asked at one point, I said, "Are you playing with us?" Yes. No qualms about it, yes.
Well, you know,
and in fact, the Elks, they were comedians. They were actors, you know. They liked having fun.
One thing I started trying to do, and admittedly, since Kim and I have had to relocate in the last year, and like 80% of the rest of the paranormal, my employment status is looking. We don't investigate as much as we had been. And one of the things that I had started doing that I was having a whole lot of results with on investigations was I was focusing my questions on food and sex. Almost if you were told that it was a female spirit, flirt.
Yeah.
You know, we would ask questions. I would ask questions like, "What was your favorite Sunday dinner?" You know, and people have to remember that back in the late 1800s, all the way up to the 1950s and whatnot, you know, a Sunday dinner with family was a common occurrence.
P.S. Guy says he doesn't think they're getting any.
How do we know? We don't know that. We don't know that side. And please don't go look in ghost windows to find out. If you see a little ghost hanger on the door, leave them alone. But, that's what I'm saying. And I've gotten results with that. And to me, that makes sense because the entities that we're going to talk to would be recently dead. So the urges for those two things would still be the strongest. Two of the strongest urges we have while we're alive. Other than breathing, but that's kind of a given. You don't want to ask an EVP in an EVP session, are you breathing?
That's the thing. Do your research.
Right.
Because you need to find out the time periods that, these entities might have, for the Elks, I went for the time period of when that building was an Elks building. It was only an Elks building for 10 years before they moved it, and built a new one. And so I went to that time period, and so our questions were on that time period. And you gotta be nice to him, like the one house where the young man, he was not comfortable with me. I'm the only female on the team at that time, He was not comfortable. He answered more questions when I went back downstairs and they went upstairs. And I could hear everything. I put in my audio, and I was listening to the cameras.
Well, going back to the time period, also, another one of my little pet peeves is come near the red light. You can talk to the red light. Okay, if it was 150 years ago, they didn't have lights. Red is fire. Just go ahead and touch it, and I'll know you're there. Well, they're looking at it going, I'm going to burn myself.
When we were doing the little girl, my little EVP player does have a little flashing red light, but I just told her, I said, see this little light, it like flashes, it won't hurt you, come here and check it out, touch it, it's not going to hurt you, I promise. But you can talk into it and you can tell us secrets. I was talking to her like you would do a 4 to 6 year old child,
Right.
Little girls like to tell secrets.
Right. But I mean,
so that's what I ask her.
You walk over to that and make it blink. Okay, you're not explaining to them how to make it blink. Maybe things didn't blink in, 1709. Yeah. Hello? You got to give them more information than that.
Tell them it gets bright. If you get closer to it, it gets bright and colors show up, Let's see how many colors you can.
But that goes back to, again, knowing your equipment.
Yeah.
And not stepping in the electricity puddles.
Right. Well, there is that.
Yes.
The big puddles of electricity that form on the
That's
floor.
why we went and looked for rogue EMF in the beginning, so we stay away from those, and want the area over there that, there's something going on, but I can't find out where it's coming from.
She wants the dry EMF areas, not the
damp,
electric puddles.
The damp EMF.
That's right.
But I guess, for me being empathic, being sensitive, it's just easier for me to do it that way because I'm feeling their emotions. I feel the emotions of the living or the dead. It doesn't matter. You put me in a room with 10 slightly angry people and close the door, I'm going to be ready to kill somebody because I'm feeling all their emotions times 10,
Yeah, that's me when I go Christmas shopping. I come home and I become mean.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point. Kim is much more empathic than I am, but even I've got to the point where I hate Walmart.
Yeah.
I go in, I go what I got to go get. I don't go in wandering around because I can't stand to be around the crowd.
My favorite time to go grocery shopping was 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yep.
Nobody's there.
Night stalkers, and they'll help you out.
But yeah, I figured out this year that we'll go out, go Christmas shopping, da la la la, fa la la la, come home, and all of a sudden I'm mean to the point where I don't even like myself. I know nobody else wants to deal with me.
Yeah, she does too. She gets mean.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been that way my whole life. The emotions. My mom tells a story that my little sisters, they would never stay in playpens back then. We had wooden slat playpens.
Yep.
And my sisters would kick them out, break them. They didn't want to. They hated being in them. My mom would hang them in one of those Johnny jump ups and hang them in a doorway, and they were happy. So me, until I was 6, 7 years old, I would grab some toys, go to the playpen, throw them in, climb in, and then sit there and play. What it is, I was making my bubble.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I like being around people, but I need you to stay so far away because, back then I did not know how to control the energy, the emotions that were coming at me. I didn't understand why I was crying, You get around people, even a movie theater. I wait until a couple weeks after the movies come out, and then I go in the middle of the week during the day, when the fewest people are in that movie theater, because all their emotions, I can feel them. And,
Well, normally, over the years, it's usually go Christmas shopping and then there's this weird depression. Just want to cry for no good reason other than just to freaking cry. This year, for some reason, it all completely twisted, and now I'm just mean.
It could be because, we don't have money, so we're more angry when we go to the stores and find,
I don't know what it is, but it's...
we can't get this. We got people breathing down our neck, to buy them this, and this. And this year, everybody knows I'm not getting gifts. There's 4 children. The one child that lives in the household where I'm staying at right now, and then there are 3 grandchildren that come over quite a lot. I am going to be, I'm buying them each a gift. I have a certain amount of money for each one, and I've bought them all gifts, but they're not for Christmas. They all know that. They're for Yule.
Right.
So they think it's really good, 4 days before Christmas, they're going to get their presents. And,
yeah, the only one we actually...
But nobody else, I'm not giving gifts to anybody else this year, it's...
Ours went to the grandbaby.
Yeah.
It's already been shipped out, done.
Yeah, it's people. This economy is testing a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, there's that.
Paul Bradford from Ghost Hunters International, he had he had posted on Facebook the other day a picture. No, not Paul. Was it Paul? Or one of the other guys? One of them. One of them from Ghost Hunters International. He had shared a picture of, he was in Walmart. He says, there's nobody in here.
Yeah.
He says, the parking lot's pretty much empty. He goes, every place we go, the stores are empty.
Yeah, people are either shopping online or they just, much like our situation, they spend what they can spend, but we just don't have it.
Yeah.
There's no reason to go out. It's a waste of gas.
Well, it's like we went to a couple places the other day, and it's go in, get your stuff, walk up, and there may be one person in front of you in line.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember years where you showed up at 7 a.m., got in line at 9, and was still sitting there at 2 p.m.
Yeah. It's tough out there. Things are tough. And it'll get better.
I missed something in the chat room.
Oh, yeah, that's just the little exat kids that come in and out. They were summarily handled.
That was so quick I didn't even know. Well, I've learned not to really... I look at the chat, but I don't really watch it because it's like there were some of my shows, like the Barry Fitzgerald show, where I would get dizzy looking at that chat room. Finally, they were told to... send messages. I had 4 girls who were watching the chat room and who would write down the questions.
Yep.
And who asked it and put it in another chat box that was just to me. Because I couldn't find the questions. They were going by so fast. And I was getting dizzy. And plus, that way I wouldn't have to see all the idiots that popped in and...
Yeah.
And yes, I get in trouble for using that word idiots. But if you're going to act like an idiot, I'm going to call you an idiot.
Right?
Yeah. Call them like you see them. That always works best.
You know, if you want that, treat you like an adult, act like an adult.
Amen.
I refuse to act like an adult. You can't make me.
Well, then you don't get mad if I don't treat you like one.
Yes, but I don't act like an idiot either.
Yeah, but unlike children, she's actually kind of started to like the spanking part. So I mean, it doesn't really work anymore.
And
He decides he's an adult goofball. I go, that's fine. I don't mind goofballs, you know. It's idiots. I do have a big thing against idiots. That and orbs.
And it's funny
I
that
hate
you mentioned
orbs.
those two so close together.
Well, I hate orbs. For some reason, when I became the paranormal night stalker, everybody assumed I became a,
An orb hugger?
no,
yeah,
a professional in orbs because they've done it to me too. They'll
I'm
sit
a
there and
professional in historical research and genealogy. I have a degree in genealogy research from Brigham Young University. You know, I worked hard for that little, certificate. Had to go all the way there to get tested, to get my degree in it. That's what I'm an expert in. That's what I bring to the paranormal field. It helps me out, a lot. I've got electricians on my team, They're very helpful. They're experts in electricity, So if I have a question about equipment or, about electrical fields, I go ask them. All of a sudden, it's like everybody's sending me pictures of orbs. And so finally I had to put down, okay, I have a simple thing. If you want me to look at your orb, I said, everybody's got the paint program on their computer. Put your picture in paint, enlarge it 400%. Then, if there's anything interesting, show it to me. Because that's what I'm going to do to it. As much as I want to believe in fairies and stuff like that, if you've enlarged it 400% just to find the wings on it, it's not a fairy, it's a bug.
there is that.
Well,
And also, if you use flash, orbs didn't start coming out until flash photography came out.
Just real quick, because we are kind of getting down here towards the end, Star, I have to ask you this.
Okay.
Have you ever been on an investigation where the big red box popped up around stuff as you were taking pictures? Where you take a picture, and then when you look at the picture, there's a big red box around just where the evidence is. Have you ever had that
With the
happen?
red arrow pointing at it?
No.
I hate that's what I hate the most. People
I don't
put
want you, if you want my opinion, I want to see it. I don't want a
Right.
box around it or a circle or
And-
an arrow pointing to it.
what's the old Bachman Turner lyric? Be careful. Don't ask me what I think of you. I might not give you the answer that you want me to. If you ask my opinion, you're going to get it.
Yeah. I lost a friend, somebody who personally knew me, because she wanted me to go look at one picture in her photo album. They're redoing her grandma and granddad's home, a whole bunch of orbs in it. She wanted my opinion. Well, she sent me to the album, so I looked through all of them. And went back and told her, I go, it's insulation dust. She goes, but we weren't working with insulation, putting any insulation in. I go, yeah, but 2 pictures earlier you were ripping it all out of the floor.
Yeah. Well, you weren't supposed to look at that one.
And she got mad at me and wouldn't talk to me and then unfriended me.
Yeah.
How dare you actually investigate her pictures? What?
Well, Star,
I'm an investigator. I'm going to look at all the pictures.
Right?
we are kind of needing to widen down right here.
Especially seeing we told you it's an hour and it's almost 2.
Almost 2. But I told you, we own the place. We can go as long as we
switched
want.
my show to 2 hours because of that. We were an hour to begin with.
Yeah, but we own the place, so we can run as long as we want to.
That's right.
But next week, or Monday, who we got coming?
Monday, it's mine and Mary's, our Mary and my Christmas special on Just Saying.
Very nice.
Lady V is supposed to join us. We may have people popping in and out. We may not. You don't know what we're up to on Monday.
No,
Why?
they really
Because
don't.
it's our show.
Really, really don't. And Becca will have on Spellbinding Sherry. She owns a business called Dead Deliveries. It's some interesting stuff. On Off the Wall, which is on right after Just Saying on Monday nights with the Mistresses of Monday.
And tonight we had Star Anderson, the Paranormal Night Stalker. Next week we have Dan Clay, the Graveyard Stalker.
Yeah, so we're just moving to all the great paranormal locations.
We told you we like stalkers.
Tune in every night of the week, folks. We have great programming every night of the week.
And new stuff coming.
New stuff is coming. We are still always recruiting shows. You want to upgrade your show coming from radio to video? Come talk to us.
Well, I might just come talk to you because I was just going to make an announcement that people need to keep checking my website, theparanormalnightstalker.com, because we are thinking about going back on the air. We think there's been enough time, and
Never
we're
can
going to
tell.
revamp the website and
You never
see
can
what
tell.
goes.
You never
And
can
your
tell.
and your website is
paranormalnightstalker.com.
Yep,
well, she had to get the extra plug in.
I know. And very soon she'll have a book to plug.
That's right.
I'm still working on the book, you know. It's still on a file.
It's a book in progress. It's okay.
Yes.
But with that, guys, we're going to get out of here. Please, again, send prayers to the
Connecticut.
families in Connecticut and the families in China.
Yes.
It's really important.
Yep. And Star, thank you so much for being with us and dealing with our insanity tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we're getting out of here. We're going to talk about all you guys behind your backs with Star after we go off camera.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.